Well, good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. Pacific, and here we are live on Hangout with Coach Kerry. I am known as the Small Business Expert. So if you are an entrepreneur, a small business owner, you might even be working your business off your kitchen table or your guest bedroom desk while you work a full-time job. Then this is the show for you to be watching consistently week after week, because my topics are designed specifically for the person like you who wants to grow their business a little bit bigger than it is, or maybe even visions that you might even grow it outside of a home office and into a retail space at some other time. Wherever you are, there will be lots of information for you here. So I have a question for you today to start out. Do you ever find that sometimes you are overwhelmed? You struggle with clarity on what to be working on and what next action step on a particular project? Do you find yourself that thinking, okay, what do I need to do next to move this particular project forward? Should I do this? Should I do this? And maybe you're a bit confused. Well, then today, stay tuned and watch this episode on how to use a tool called mind mapping to help you gain clarity, get rid of that overwhelm, and really get your thoughts narrowed in on all the steps and all the pieces, and maybe even come up with some ideas you hadn't even thought of before. Because sometimes when I'm coaching my clients, sometimes I find that they struggle with the creative piece. They struggle with how to get new ideas out, or what next should they be doing. And this tool, mind mapping, is perfect for that process. So I have a great panel of VIPs today, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves. So we're going to start with you, Bonnie. Bonnie, introduce yourself and tell people who you are.
Good morning, Kerry and everyone. My name is Bonnie Mitchell, and my company is Mitchell Creative, which is a boutique graphic design company. And what I do is I help businesses worldwide increase their revenue by creating a complete complement of marketing material that help them with their sales to their target market and clientele. And I can be found online at www.bonniemitchell.ca.
Great, thank you. Perfect. And Diana Galbraith, Dr. Diana, tell us about you.
Good morning, Kerry. Thank you. I'm, as you just said, Dr. Diana Galbraith, and I have a company, First Get Healthy. I'm a former family physician. What I do is I really work with business women and professional women who have spent so much time and energy into their business, into their family, giving, and often at the expense of their own health. And so what I do is I work with them and I help them come up with a plan that really fits into their lifestyle and helps them get going. And I do have a brand new program I just released. It's 101 days, and it's a very simple online email program just to give people a jump start in the new year. So, and they can find that at www.onestgethealthy.com.
Good, excellent, thank you. And Grace Gary.
Good morning, Kerry. I'm Grace Gary, and I'm a counsellor with Graceful Solutions. And I work with people who've hit some kind of roadblock in life and they want to get past it so they can reach their goals. So it might be one of three things. It might be a crisis, like a loss or a breakup. It might be an ongoing stress, such as weight gain because of stress, or it could be a wake-up call. They're turning 30, turning 40. And what I do is help them get past those things so that they can be freer of them. So something I have coming up this Saturday is a free call called where are you on the weight loss cycle of change for those of us who want to lose weight in the new year. So if you want to find me, I'm on gracefulsolutions.ca.
Good, excellent, and I'd highly recommend people tune into that call. So excellent, good. And Krista, tell us about you.
Good morning. I'm Krista Wojcicki, and I'm a realtor with Remax Promotion here in beautiful Victoria. And I do all realms of real estate. However, I do tend to lean towards home buyers and seniors, both of which take a little bit more time and hand-holding. And I'm happy to do that and really, really thoroughly enjoy it, and I'm very dedicated to it. So you can check me out on my website at kristav.ca. Thank you.
Good, excellent. Okay, so here we are for today's episode today on mind mapping and how you can do that for project planning. And for those of you who are listening to this live, you know that we're leading into the end of this year and moving on to the next, so it's a great tool to use for them. For anyone who's watching this or listening to this as a recording down the road, you can use this at any time. You can use this for any kind of project planning or goal setting that you have. So, I think, Krista, you're my first question for today. What would you like to ask me?
Well, I've heard a lot about mind mapping, but I have no idea how it works and what it is. So what is mind mapping?
Well, that's a great question for us to start out today. And what mind mapping is, it's been called a couple other things. It can be used it can be called process mapping, and the other one can be is called concept mapping. I like to use the word mind mapping because mind mapping really taps into that creative element of your brain and all of the synapses that are working in your brain to kind of pull those all together, which is really key especially when you're trying to plan something, or if you're in a sort of a crisis mode, how to kind of pull things together. We use keywords in it, which help our brain kind of work together. And what it'll give us a bird's eye view of the entire picture, which is one of the things that I talked about. Is maybe is one of the benefits of doing mind mapping is you can actually gain some clarity. And what do I mean by that? Well, when you've got let's say it's a project and you're unclear what your next steps are and which needs to go first. By mind mapping it, you get that bird's eye view. You're looking from above down on it because you've written it on a piece of paper. And what it is you can see it, and you can see all the interconnecting pieces. And things that you may not even have thought of before will come out because you're using this concept. So it's really just a way to get thoughts and ideas down on a piece of paper visually, using all those aspects of your brain that really can help you get clarity, again, overcome any overwhelm you might have, and map out your process. So thanks for that question. That's great. So Diana, what's your question for me?
So now that you've explained what mind mapping is, can you tell us why it works? Basically why it works.
Well, I won't take our time today on this episode to talk about the actual science behind it, although for those of you who are so inclined, please go on and Google mind mapping and the science behind it. But what I want to tell you in the context of this as kind of a foundation for encouragement for you to use it is that the process of mind mapping uses 80% of your brain. 80% of your brain, because it uses both sides of your brain. Prior to using mind mapping, I would write a list. I would say, okay, what are the things I need to do? And I would try and sort of jot them down in list making. And that uses a significantly lower amount of my brain. It doesn't pull in a lot of the creativity in it. So it does, and you can use it for planning. You can use it for organizing your thoughts. You can use it for problem solving. So it has so many different applications in it. And I think the key piece for me is that because it engages much more of the brain in the process of assimilating ideas together, of evaluating and connecting facts, much more than note-taking ever does. What it'll do, it'll prompt new ideas. So you'll find yourself coming up with new ideas where if you're just taking notes, you might get stuck. And it assists in the thinking through of complex problems because it's using your entire brain to be able to do that. So again, I know, Diana, you might want a more scientific explanation given the fact that you are a doctor, and so I would really encourage you to go online if you'd like more, or anybody else in there. But did that give you enough of a basis to encourage you to move forward by using mind mapping?
Yes, that was great. Thank you.
Good. Excellent. Good. All right. So, Bonnie, how about your question for me? What question might you have?
Well, it sounds like a great tool, actually, and it sounds like something that would be perfect for me. So my question is, how do you do it?
So now let's get really practical. Because an idea has thousands of links in your mind, what mapping does is it allows you to get those links and sort of kind of connect them together and then record them down. And it allows you to expand in all different directions. So what I recommend you do, especially when you're early on in this, is pick one main topic, one particular issue that maybe you want to problem solve on, or one particular project. And then what you want to do is you want to think, okay, that'll be the main one in the center of your page. So you're going to do this on a piece of paper. And depending upon how complex it is, you might start with a large piece of paper. Often for me, I want to break them down into smaller chunks, so I'll use an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And what you're going to do is you're going to think of, okay, what are then the subtopics of that? So really what we're talking about is kind of like a tree trunk, for an example, and now we've got branches, and then we've got twigs going off of it in all different directions. And it's not going to necessarily look pretty, especially for the first run at it, because you're going to write things, you're going to cross over that maybe needs to be over here, but you're getting those things out of your head, and you're kind of creating that that creative piece of where do I go here, or what would necessarily link with that. You also, so I'm gonna recommend what you do is you print, because it will keep it in your mind better, and it's clearer versus writing. So print. Use color. Color can help you put things together, especially if you've kind of really just been brainstorming, and you may have some thoughts that end up in different parts of the page that actually you now realize you want to have them together. You could color code them afterwards and then redo it again so it looks pretty. Employ symbols, characters, other images, depending on how creative and how skilled you are at being able to draw. Remember, this is just for you. You can use other things as well. And because what you want to do is you want to continually be brainstorming it. So once you've done it, go back to it over and over again, because there's some other things that you can be doing. So Bonnie, what I did is I actually created one just for today's episode, just to kind of show you what it would look like. So here we had the key idea in the middle, and then what I did is the ideas would run off from each other. So all these little pieces here, these are the little twigs that are off here as well. And again, you can see what I've done is I've actually color-coded them so that you have these ideas are clustered. Now, this is a pretty neat one. It could look pretty messy. In fact, I'm just going to take my pen right now, and it might even look like this. And then you might be one that goes like this. So you can see what I've done now is I've made it look kind of messy, because what happens is I'm using this as an opportunity to think creatively. I've realized that this idea here under the yellow, actually this new idea relates to this one here. So I've kind of drawn it that way. So you can have all sort of loop-de-loop pieces that are in place, and what it's going to do is it's going to continually bring out new ideas. So for an example, I created this one. I just put keyword in the center there, or the key idea that's there. But you can see another one shot off of here, so I've got other ideas that are coming off of here. And then you'll have subs of subs. So you look at that and you go, oh, well, that kind of goes like that, and then that goes like that. So you can end up with what might look like a fish. Exactly, in that. But lots of ideas keep coming off of it. And it's a great tool to deal with that overwhelm. It can also be a great tool that if you have a book that you're reading, and it's one that you want to pull out those concepts, that let's say it's a business book and you really want to get those key concepts in place, you could mind map the content of the book, and what it will do, it will help you learn it even deeper, because you're using all of those skills. You know, you're going to be writing, you're using visual, so you're processing it so that your mind can understand those connections that are there. This also can be a great tool to plan a book or any other kind of thing as well. So, Bonnie, did that answer your question of how to do it? Pretty straightforward.
Yes, that absolutely answered it. I'm actually really excited about it.
Great, good. And I'm going to share with you a tool that I use and I recommend my clients use. That the good news is it's free, and it's a tool that you can mind map. You can do three mind maps, and you don't have to pay for the upgraded version of it. And what that does, it allows you to make it look pretty if you want to, once you've got it down on paper first, so then you can have that on your wall just to remind you of certain things. And it's www.bubble, B-U-B-B-L, so there's no E in there, .us. So bubble.us, and you can color code it, and you can mind map it, and everything else, and you can put arrows in, and it's really great. So Grace, I noticed you've taken your thing off mute now, so why don't you, I'm sure you've got a question now that maybe specifically how to use this tool.
Yes, one of the things I like about this is that it's on paper. As you know, I really enjoy paper, and it also feels more playful as a way of planning. So I was thinking about my free call, Where Are You in the Weight Loss Cycle of Change, which kind of is geared towards people who are trying to lose weight and they're not sure what's getting in the way. And I'm just thinking about how to market it. How could I use it as a tool to help me market something like that?
Great. That's a perfect example, and I think this will help a lot of the listeners as well on this episode as well, or who are listening to it. So what you would do is you would put in the center would be your call, this free call that you're doing, and so it's going to go into the center of the circle. So it would be your key concept here. It would be your key idea that's here. And then you'd think, okay, what are the various marketing things that I could do? Well, let's say the pink one up top here would be your social media. So you would write social media in this larger one here, and then what you'll do is you'll say, okay, well then you might not go directly off here. What you might go is Facebook might be this one. You might have another circle that comes up here, which would be LinkedIn. You could have another one of those Twitter, and then you've got the various ideas. Okay, so are you going to be doing it? So if this is Facebook, so you might do Monday, Wednesday, Friday posts, and you're going to brainstorm what the posts are. So it's going to help you think about all of those various things, and it's going to also think about the sequencing of them, which is the first one to put in first direction. What you might do is rather than have the three go off like this, if you're going to sequence them to build up interest in this free call that you've got, they might be a long line. So this one leads, it tells them about this, which leads into this one, which tells me about this one. So you're going to map it all the way out in that direction. So kind of how this yellow one here has gone up, it's got branches that go off, you might go consistently off in that direction. Then you might have one which might be dealing with strategic partners, for an example. So who else might promote it for you? So that might be this one right here, this big square, so strategic partners. And you're going to then list the names of all the people. So you're going to brainstorm who are the various people that you could reach out to, and what would be the, what would you be asking them to do? How would you be asking them to promote it? You might decide that if you were doing this a little more in advance, you might have in this blue one here, it might be blogging. So you might actually put the various blog ideas that you might have off of here. So to lead up to create the interest that's in it. And then you might have up in this one, this yellow one over here, this may be networking events that you're going to. So you're going to brainstorm all the various different networking events and what it is that you're going to be telling them when you're there. So you might put what's your elevators pitch, or your that piece you're going to talk to them about. Oh, you might want to create a flyer. Oh, well then you've got to create a flyer that goes with it. So can you see how it helps you pull in all these things that you might be competing for? Okay, well I need to do that. Oh, I need to do that. I need to do that. And it gets it down on paper, and in fact it'll even expand that idea to even more and more ideas that you would have for that particular topic, which is your free call that you've got. You could even expand that out, for an example. And if your free call is part of a program that you're going to be offering, what you might do is start with the big picture first, which is the program, And one of the marketing strategies to market that would be, of course, to have the free call and all of the various things. So you can continually be going out and out, or start out and then create a mind map for each one of those areas. You may take one of those and create its own mind map on its own sheet of paper, keeping in mind always what it is that you're at the end result that you want from that. So for you, for an example, if I were coaching you one-on-one, I'd be asking you, well, how many people do you want on that call? Well, you know, what are those numbers? What's the date on it? How would you measure if it was a success? You know, that those are the things you want to have in place, and know exactly where you are right now in relationship to that. And then the mind map will help you map out all those action items to be able to bring it into fruition and have the successful call that you want to have.
Yeah. Thanks, Kerry.
You're welcome. It's great. So we have a little bit of time left, so what I'd like to do is ask my panelists if you have one could be a specific question that, like the one that Grace asked me, that you'd like to have me help you kind of coach you through what that might look like. Or if you've got if you've got a big aha that you'd like to, an aha that from today, that how you might be able to use this concept, then please share it with the audience today, because it might help them think of ways that they could use it that they're not even thinking about. For an example, you know, you might have not even thought that you could use it for marketing, right? Except now you know how you could use it for marketing, because we just walked that through with Grace. And the problem often is we think of marketing, but then we think, okay, well, what are going to be my strategies? So this will help you nail down what are the strategies and brainstorm those strategies and bring them all out. So how about if we start with you, Krista? You asked me my first question today, so I'm going to ask you to either a new question or an aha that you might have.
Hi, thank you. I think I'll do an aha, because that's what comes to mind first. And for me, there was two ahas. It was where you had talked about yourself. When you had an idea, you would do lists. That's what I do. And then the second takeaway is the reason to use mind mapping over lists is because of the creativity. And I think when you're so immersed in your business and the technical stuff, and you forget about the creativity that needs to come into your planning. So those were my two ahas and takeaways.
Great, excellent. Thank you. Good. And how about for you, Dr. Diana? How about for you, either a new question or an aha?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I really like the explanation you gave at the end there with Grace. That really helped me see how it works. Just a quick question. Can you use mind mapping when you're trying to schedule your week or plan your week or even plan your business? Like from a scheduling point of view, does mind mapping work with that, or is that a completely different thing?
Great question, and absolutely you can, because what it will do is it will help you cluster things that you're going to be spending your time together. So for an example, from a time management standpoint, you might say to yourself, well, these are the things that you do that are all related to, you know, social media or blogging or communicating with clients and whatnot. So you could put those all into one particular area. Then you might have other things that are actually the working in your business. So what are all those various things? To get them out of your head onto the piece of paper, so then you'd know when to schedule them into your calendar. So absolutely you can use it for that. No question about it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I think you could even use it for any kind of Christmas shopping too, if you wanted to. So Bonnie, how about for you? Question or comment?
A comment, actually, and aha. And as I said, I'm very excited about this new tool, because I'm the opposite of Krista in that I spend so much time in the creative realm. I try to purposely step out to still keep order when I do my job. So for example, with the logo design, I do have a way that I brainstorm, but it's not as visual as the mind mapping that you showed me, and I can see where that would really benefit in some of those areas of my work in that. So I'm really excited to try that with some of the processes I go through and shake it up and see what happens.
Great, excellent, excellent. And you know, I just as you were all giving me your ahas and you know the questions, if you're planning a new website, use it to mind map your website. You know, what are all the various pieces? What are the links that you want to have off of the certain things? I mean, it's a way of getting it out of your head and onto a piece of paper. So I really want to encourage all of you to use this. For those of you that are watching this live, again, we're moving into the new year soon. Use this to mind map your goals for the next year and what are going to be and then what will help you do is identify the strategies and the tactics you're going to use to be able to bring those goals into fruition. So again, I want to thank all of my panelists for today. It always is a huge help for me to be challenged by your questions and to organize the thoughts for the audience as well. Remember, you can watch me live at 9 a.m. Pacific on Mondays, and you will also notice that from time to time I do expert interviews. So how you can find me is by going to hangoutwithcoachkerry.com. You can see down below me on the screen here. You can find, that's where you will find all previous episodes that are there. You'll also find some blog posts. You'll find some free resources and tips. Please also join me on Google Plus at hangoutwithcoachkerry.com, and I have a community there, Passport to Growth Academy, Kerry Brown's Passport to Growth Academy for small business owners. Please come and join that. And I also want to encourage you all to go to my website, hangoutwithcoachkerry.com, and download my free ebook on how to get out of overwhelm and accelerate your business now. So I encourage you all to do that. So I will talk to you next week, same time, same station, hangoutwithcoachkerry.com. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks, Kerry.